Welcome to another day in the Matrix. This is Red Pill Podcast number 80. Hope you're all having an incredible week so far. It's finally the weekend, and I'm filming this on Saturday. I hope to get this up before the end of the day, get it to you guys a little bit earlier. But before we get started, get relaxed, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea or a glass of wine, beer, beverage of your choice. Hope you're all doing well. It's nice and sunny where I am, so I'm definitely going to be getting out in nature, enjoying that sunshine. Definitely do the same if the weather is working in your favor. So, we're going to be covering as much as we can today on this episode, but the market has been sort of stabilizing for the most part. I do know the indices have been very choppy with what's been going on with the Fed and pretty much everything lately. But we've anticipated this because this is the post-Shemitah environment, and this is kind of where the Fed and global economic policy, central banks, world governments, and even your local government will start to see some volatility. So before we kick this off, if you are new here to our mastermind community and you haven't gotten Discord server access yet, just go ahead and send me a message on Patreon with your Discord username and the last four numbers after your username, and I'll be able to get you invited that way. As well as the voting system on the altcoins, been doing a great job at that. But one thing I wanted to mention was we're getting a lot of repeat coins. So I will not be covering coins that I've just covered 3 episodes ago or 4 episodes ago. Let's try to put the votes in for coins that we haven't covered in a while. So the comprehensive list of everything, if you're in our Discord, it's really easy to search. You could even search by my posts. So if you were to type into the search function of Discord and just type in Waters Above from user, Waters Above, and then you can search after that just the name of any altcoin. You can type in VChain, press enter, and it's literally going to pop up one of the last podcasts that I did where I covered that coin, because I'm rarely typing in the names of other coins. But anyways, you'll know it's one of the Red Pill podcast posts because that will be the title of the post. So that saves a lot of time and should help people out with the voting. And let's just get straight into it. So I'm actually looking at this altcoin market cap chart. So it's the total market cap without Bitcoin, and we're seeing that it's essentially backtested the prior all-time high, this parabolic spike that we had back in January of 2018. And it's pretty amazing if you look at how that last alt season went. I mean, pretty much that whole 3-year time horizon as altcoins were being brought out to the market and as Bitcoin was losing its volatility. But still, Bitcoin had an incredible run back then from 2015 to 2018, of course. But looking at this more locally, we're seeing something going on here where we've had a pretty decent pullback, but we know there's more room to go to the downside. And just from a technical perspective, I wanted to show you guys the levels. So don't worry, I will be getting into the dates. I just wanted to start this off because I thought this was an interesting thing that I found before kicking off this episode. So it's the most fresh piece of information on my mind, but we have a couple things going on. We have this little peak over here, as well as we have another peak right here. Pretty much right around that 702 fib. So here there's a lot of a decent amount of trading range, but still it's not a whole lot. And anything below this 888 fib is essentially bringing us into this golden pocket territory, and that's very normal. By the way, this is on logarithmic scale with log setting turned on in the fib. So if we were to break below here and get to this 888 territory, this would be indicative of a Bitcoin move below 17,000. Let's just say if Bitcoin decided to go below 17K. Probably see a retest of the 888 and then into this territory. Now, the speed of which we can move into this territory would look very similar to this, in my opinion. So we could kind of copy a fractal. I know some of you guys like doing that kind of thing and having fun with it, but just show you guys a little bit of, excuse me. So something like this. And the timing doesn't matter, but it's just from that one peak down. Could even try to align this with like November 7th, you know? Because that's kind of that key time frame that we're looking for, potentially a pullback. And any time into Q4, it doesn't really matter if it's exactly November 7th or if it's December, so it doesn't matter. As long as it shows up, it's a good sign actually, because it completes the selling climax. And it's sort of a necessity in this market to wash out some of this nonsense. So anyways, if you look at the timing of this, that's not as important as much as the structure. And if we were to match these highs, I should probably bring it slightly lower. You can see we're pretty much coming into the top of the golden pocket, right above the 786. And we all know that the 702 is a very, very critical range. And because that 702 is around the 222 billion or 223, I would not be surprised if they ritualized it down with a very short, quick spike. So it could be something like this. Where it basically just taps down and then pretty much comes back up, overextends, or has somewhat of an opposite reaction, creating what we call a bear trap, and then gets rejected at the 888, comes back to the 786, the top of the golden pocket, confirming another higher low, and then it continues into what I call an automatic rally. So you have your buying climax, or you could even call this the buying climax, and then somewhat of a upthrust, and then you have an entrance into distribution after this lower high, followed by a break of this support right over there. But you can't call it a selling climax just yet, because there's going to be little relief rallies along the way. Really, what gives you an indication of a full-blown selling climax in cryptocurrency is about a 90% plus washout. Now, we're in the market cap chart right now, so bear with me that this might not be 90%, but you could still see it's pretty close, about 86%. Let's look at the last run. And this is the market cap chart, by the way. This isn't an individual altcoin. So it's about a 92% correction. And I believe we could have coins go to zero in this move if this was to happen. So you're like, Waters, why are we starting out with the... Because we're getting close, and I just want to prepare people that if we're going to have another move to the downside, this is kind of how we calmly navigate it. This is what to expect, and it's very technical, and it's nothing weird, and we all know that the market has a narrative right now that's trying to kind of introduce excessive fear into people and perhaps get people a little bit too caught up in some of these scare tactics of the market makers as well as the people who make the news. So expect Twitter and financial media channels and traditional mainstream media to use this time frame as a way of just perpetuating as much nonsense as humanly possible for an event that we've known about for at least 2 years now, recorded for at least a year and a half. So I just want people to be calm. I want you to be able to navigate this and be able to be action-based and have a solution or a response to when the market does this. So that's why I wanted to start off Red Pill podcast number 80 with this idea. And then let's look at the relief rally time frame. It brings you up into about May, which would not be weird because we have the eclipse of April and May in 2023, which will be the transition into a solar cycle. So right now we're in a lunar phase, but once we move into the April-May eclipses, we're going to be in a solar phase, and that's a very good time to be de-risking as long as we're getting these sorts of reliefs. So as for the switch of lunar and solar phase, this has everything to do with bull and bear markets is kind of where I've come to, but it's amazing that it also aligns very well with the Bitcoin halving. So there's another thing to be said. And this isn't an exact play-by-play. This isn't exactly how I anticipate it playing out, but it would be pretty amazing if it was a similar transition. And this would be taking the market cap somewhere to like 7 trill just in altcoins. And if we were to have a bigger washout in the altcoin market, this would not be that big. Because when that washout happens, we're going to have a rollover of liquidity entering the solid projects. And we all know this altcoin market was kind of just like the introduction phase to get some retail excited, and some of the, some of the boomer generation, but ultimately, like, it has not been this crypto market has not been regulated. There's still such a lack of awareness. So 7 trillion with big actual fundamental projects that have a use case. I think this is going to be way higher, probably be in the anyways, this doesn't actually matter too much because that's so out in the future, and I think it's most important we just focus our energy into this move as a possibility. And I will be breaking down the technical ideas here as we go. Let me actually I'll keep this, but I'll make the color less ridiculous. I'll reset this, and we could look at this for a couple things. I mean, one, this could be somewhat of a bull flag type of idea. So the timing of which this all happens, I mean, we just have to be super open-minded because we know the October eclipse that we're about to embark upon is going to be a new moon. And right now we're in a full moon. The full moon's tomorrow. So definitely something to be said for recent pullback in the market. I mean, if you just look at the Dow Jones, I mean, it gave up all of those gains that it was attempting to make after that last Fed meeting. And it seems to be there's some isolated things going on like XRP. So we're definitely going to be getting into that. But, precious metals continuing to be shaky, pretty much following the traditional market one for one. Even crypto has actually held up pretty decently over the last couple of days. So that's what's kind of making me feel like, there's definitely a possibility for an October rally into the end of the month. And then we have that November eclipse. But I'll be getting into that in a moment. Let's get into some dates. So you guys are probably like, wow, Water still has the old Gematrinator. It's just because I never reloaded my screen. I kept it this way. I like this old format. If for whatever reason my computer restarts and I lose out on it, I'll just use the newer version. But for now, I'm just going to leave this here, and I enjoy this format more. But anyways, so let's get into some dates that I'm looking at. For one, it's the 10th. The 10th has just a quick breakdown. It has this how do I say this? It's making me think of the decode that I did about the metaverse and the Year of the Tiger. So if you go on my YouTube channel and you go back to the Year of the Tiger, and even here on Patreon, I did some exclusive content for that. But the reason why is because of metaverse and the 8 symbolism. So, metaverse changed. Well, Facebook changed to Meta. Meta has the 8 logo, which is like the infinity symbol or the analemma, the Taurus field, however you want to look at it. And we haven't been having a lot of single digit date numerologies this year up until I think, really recently. So a couple of obvious things to talk about before I get into that metaverse connection is just the 1010 and the 222. So that would be the 11222. The 1-1 gives us a 2. So, this is numerologically one of those dates to pay attention to. But beyond that, that 15 is tying back to Tiger, as you all have probably been aware. But anyone who's new here to this Gematria thing, we are in the Year of the Tiger. And there was a ritual that happened. And with Facebook Meta's transition, they had a commercial where it looked like a tiger was like eating a bull. And people were having their rounds in the decoding community of what that meant. But here I was very adamant that I looked at the tiger actually as a negative thing, and it would be a bad energy or negative energy, specifically on markets, and that had everything to do with the Year of the Shemitah, as well as the move into the Super Bowl when we saw the Rams win, and the Rams horn, the shofar is what's blown on Rosh Hashanah. So go watch those decodes if needed. I did a Super Bowl decoded video as well, probably within the same month as that Year of the Tiger decode. So let me just show you Metaverse's chart so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about right now. Oof. This thing's still going lower. Holy moly. It's breaking below COVID lows. Wow. This looks worse than an altcoin, right, guys? Okay, so this is a very big pullback. Oh my goodness, 65% in a stock. And one of the most successful media companies of all time. It's broken the C scam lows. still closing on lows into earnings. And we're I'm sorry, it's just so rough. Give me a second. This is horrendous. Yeah, I mean, it could go to 118. It's probably going to go to 117 or 119, right? The 911 or 711 in reverse. That's probably what it's going to go back to. But anyways, so this whole shenanigans happened in the transition into literally the start of the year of the tiger. So if you're looking, I don't know if you'll be able to see the date, but it was around February 2nd, February 3rd. Oh, that was right into the transition, the 22 date. And we made a video talking about that. And anyways, I see that 8 and I see that 15 and I see that 2 weeks and 1 day, the 21 coming back to Saturn with the 11222. And it's just making me think, like, and no wonder why Meta's doing worse. It's continuing to do worse probably into these eclipses. Anyways, not a huge thing to point out, but I do find it pretty interesting. And this is clearly a very rare date numerology. So let's move on. Just having fun with some of these ideas, the 15-8 theme and the connection to metaverse, and and why this is a very important topic of discussion as well is because the whole world is kind of moving into that energy of like the metaverse, like digital augmented reality and having an avatar person be like your representative and filter all these amazing filters people have, and the Twitter addiction and the TikTok addiction. Just everyone's so like social media consumed that it's kind of hilarious how they use the meta sacrifice kind of in regards to the stock and like the perform and all of this stuff. It's kind of like, it's like a flex. It's like a new world order flex. So I'm going to revisit a date that we spoke about last week. I still think this is a very critical date. It's the 15th of this month. The reason being is it leaves 77 days left in the year. That's the sevens theme that comes back to the year of the Shemitah, the 7-year cycle, and we are in the year of Jubilee, which is 7 cycles of 7, and on the 49th year is your finality of the cycle, which brings you into Jubilee. And if you look at that 77, we also see a lot of other important 77s. Look at this solar eclipse date, the 25th of this month. That has a 77 date numerology, as well as the day of Rosh Hashanah itself had the 77 date numerology. So this is big. And if you look, it is 19 days since the start of September 26th. And you know that C word 19 was a big deal over the past 2 or so years. So this number 19 is clearly big. It's A and I, artificial intelligence. So let's connect this date to the 7th of November, because that's the eclipse that'll be coming up. And I already shared this. This is the very important eclipse that I'm paying attention to. It's the lunar eclipse. And this matters a lot to me. For one, we have that 15, again, the theme with the tiger, but then we have that 23 and 32. So you see 3 weeks and 2 days, as well as 23 days span between these two dates. And that 23 is big because it comes back to Jubilee with the 23. And as well, Bitcoin has the 23, Mercury, 23, dealing with fiat, merchandise, commerce. Then you have Uranus, which is Sky Daddy, the peak of the etheric power of this realm, the eye of the pyramid. So yeah, this 23 is a very important number. It's showing up quite a bit. And just this date in and of itself being a 15, that's another thing to consider as we continue to talk about the theme of the number 15 and the year of the tiger, which is kind of like another way of saying the year of Jupiter. And that's why this whole energy this year has been the battle of Jupiter and his father, Saturn. It's the year of the Shemitah, which is the sabbatical year, aka the Sabbath year. But then we're in the year of the tiger. The tiger's connected esoterically to Jupiter because it's the striped planet. This also ties back to Shiva, the builder and destroyer of worlds. Anyways, we've gone over this date, but I just wanted to revisit it because I think it's very important. And then the last date I'll talk about is the 17th. And this is a little more esoteric, but, hang out with me on this. This is the 117 date. So in the rules of numerology, you're going to remove that 0. You have the 117, and this is also the 117. It's kind of like a palindrome, right? Now, this definitely matters because it's 21 days apart from these two dates, the 117 date and the 117 date, 21 days apart. And then remember, Bitcoin equals 117 in Gematria, right? But anyways, we see that 21 as well as the 69, as well as the 15. So this is a very interesting date, and I would love to know some of your guys' thoughts, any of you decoders in the community, if you have something to say about this. So the 21 naturally comes back to Saturn. You got that 21, and then you see that 69 in Saturn. This is the 69 date numerology. And then we have both of these days not only matching in the 117-222, 117-222, but they also match in standard date. Well, obviously, right? But I'm just showing you, like, that's pretty wild, like, that we're getting all of these connections specifically with this date. And then another thing to connect this back to would be Rosh Hashanah. And let me show you. This was Rosh Hashanah Eve, so the day before the 3 days of Rosh Hashanah. And you can see that it is a 22-day span, the 22. And this was the ending of the year 5782, the Hebrew year of 5782, which equals 22, and we're in the Gregorian year that equals 22. So if you take that date and then you bring it back to Rosh Hashanah Eve, it's giving you that 25, and then if you brought it back to the day of Rosh Hashanah, it's 21, and that 21 is so important because, again, it's tying back to Saturn, as I said before, as well as this is the Shemitah, the end of it, the end of the Saturn year. So anyways, tomorrow will be the full moon. So happy full moon, wolves. Enjoy this energy. I was on a walk last night and it was beautiful. Like, I couldn't believe it. Looks like the moon is getting bigger. Am I alone on that feeling? It feels like the moon is getting larger. Really odd. Maybe the firmament is closing in on us. Anyways, so yeah, full moon tomorrow. So that means typically expect a bearish energy in the market 5 days before up to 5 days after. That could be somewhere into the state of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, somewhere into the 14th. And then this could be the transition energy into that 77-day left in the year of the 15th, which we spoke about earlier. So take that into consideration with overall market energy, as well as the 17th date that I spoke to you about a moment ago. One last thing to say is it will be the start of the 42nd week of the year, and that 42 also comes back to Saturn with that 42. So think about that, how many Saturn connections we have. We have the 21 connection to Rosh Hashanah with this date. We have the 21 connection going in the other way to the eclipse. Then we have the 69, and we have those two 21s, 69 21s, and the 42 being the 42nd week of the year, the start of that 42nd week of the year, which will start obviously on a Monday, and moon gives you the 21 as well. Moon also gives you 23, which I forgot about. That's huge because we know the stock market runs on the lunar cycle for sure. It seems like Bitcoin runs on the lunar and solar phases, and it has its energy depending on those phases. And this is a profound concept that I'm still working through. Of course, I said that all at the 23-minute mark of this podcast. So welcome. If anyone is new here to this podcast, I appreciate you joining us, and it's great to have new wolves joining the pack. You're really joining at a special time because of this end of this 7-year cycle and how we've been covering it week by week. I mean, it's really special to be so aware of what's going on at this time while the masses have really no idea. And if you were to try explaining any of this to them 6 months ago or a year ago, they would not have a single idea of what you're talking about. But if you told them that the market would be down this much into this September, October, November timeframe of this year, if you told them that a year ago, the people involved in the market would have thought you were crazy because of the Fed policy back then and all of that nonsense. And look at how much has changed, I was talking with somebody recently how if everyone who was aware of this work a year ago would have closed their eyes and opened them today, everything would have been spot on. Like everything would have been so accurate. I mean, it's pretty amazing to think when you look at the stock market and you go back a year ago from this time of October to October of here. If you told everyone that in October of 2022, after Rosh Hashanah, after the Shemitah, that we would have started to break support and head into a downtrend, people would have thought you were out of your mind. And even wolves that joined the community over here or over here or over here, they would have been continuing to think that none of this is like, and it's interesting because we've had so much coverage of this market every single week going all the way back to here. Where my cursor is, that was when the first Red Pill podcasts were made. So there's been a lot covered in this whole rally and return back to reality, and we still have way more to cover. We're just getting started, right? Because what is the most exciting part about this whole 7-year cycle is building positions. It's unfortunate that the people that think that the most exciting part is the bull runs, and they forget how quick the bull run is and how irrelevant a bull run is if you're not situated in positions before it happens. So don't you want to be the person who's there to buy dips? And don't you want to be the person who's in accumulation? All of these accumulative moments which lead us to these insane rallies. That's really where it gets, in my opinion, where the actual fun is. It's the accumulation and the building and the development of the knowledge and the response to the market as the months, the years go by. But very few are unaware of the Shemitah. Very few are unaware of these big collapses and the machinations of why, what creates them. It's amazing to know about these rituals and to be with such a small group of people who are aware of this. I mean, we really have an edge on this market. So I just want to remind everyone of that. You guys really have an edge on this market. Anyways, moving forward, let's get into some TA on Bitcoin. This might actually be a shorter podcast today because, again, there's not a whole lot to cover. It's been pretty much choppy for Bitcoin. So we're looking at the Bitcoin chart on the daily, just kind of chopping along. Really not much to say on that. Let's look at the weekly chart. I'm going to be turning off these indicators, turning on. Okay, we're still pretty bearish posture there. And yep, nothing to say. We're getting lots of rejections on the 8 simple moving average on the weekly chart. So until we actually close a weekly above there, I would not anticipate much relief. Bitcoin is just still in the phase of kind of figuring out what does it want to do. And when it makes that decision, the rest of the market will follow. Let's look at the bi-weekly. Okay, so we have a bi-weekly close coming in tomorrow, and that's pretty important because we have this 200 exponential moving average. And then look at where the 200 symbol moving average is. It's at 13.3. I mean, that's pretty amazing because if you look at where my cursor is, it is perfectly in alignment with the automatic rally of 2019. So if we just had a back test of that, I mean, we've never went that low. Wow. It's obviously, this is a very new chart. We're talking about Bitcoin. It only has about 12 to 13 years of chart data. So this isn't like me looking at 100-year, the S&P or something like that. But pretty awesome how we've returned back to this 200 and we're kind of like holding it in the meantime. But we do have a bi-weekly close tomorrow, and it would be best to hold the 200, obviously. Oh yeah, if MACD eventually crosses to the upside on this bi-weekly, this thing's going to definitely show us signs of rip territory. And then we do have that bullish divergence on the 2-week with the RSI and the price. Price closing on new lows and RSI continuing on an uptrend. No need to really look at the monthly because we're about 20 days out. Let's look at the 5-day. 5-day closure, kind of far out from today. Okay, so we got this 8 holding on the 3-day, sorta, kinda. Still not looking that great. And all of the EMAs are still in a bearish posture. RSI below 50. These are all signs of stagnation and not too much bullish action. Obviously, we could tell that as well by how boring the market has been, the sentiment. All very, very chill. Even the 2-day, it's looking so chill. Okay, so really not a whole lot to say on Bitcoin. I'll tell you some of my upside and downside ideas here. For one, if we're going to swipe lower, it's probably going to be 19 flat. 19,000 would be a key area to the downside. And that was pretty much in alignment with the 2-week chart that we were just looking at, the 200 exponential, I believe. And then below there, you have like 18.5. So 18.5 to 19 is kind of the area to hold. And at this time, this is such a small amount of trading that who knows, how it's going to react if it decides to break lower. I do have a feeling that there's going to be a washout of the stock market, and that will lead to a sub 17K Bitcoin. So I'm still kind of waiting on that personally. But that's my own investment thesis. I'm not telling you guys how to think. I'm just sharing how I feel. I feel that by the end of the year, the stock market is going to have a correction. It's most likely going to affect the cryptocurrencies. So, and it's fast. It's like during this C crash over here, everything did the same reaction. Everything literally behaved the same and recovered the same with different amounts of ROI, right? So this 55 simple moving average is definitely going to be a battle zone, but it's becoming less and less important as the market has less and less volume. So, honestly, the only thing I could say at this time is if there's going to be a dramatic relief to the upside, and at this point, anything breaking above these highs of August will seem dramatic. Like, trust me. It'll seem that way. The people in the crypto community and YouTube and Twitter, they'll all be freaking out, right? But if there was any dramatic relief in this market, it would be about 26 to 27K. And it's hard to entertain anything higher than these 200s at this time. Structurally, you just have these wicks at the bottom here, somewhere around 28. But then you have this wick here that got perfectly touched on August 15th. And then the rejection came in with a continuation to the downside. This big thing could just turn out to be a W as well. And then you'd have like that end of the 2015 Shemitah for Bitcoin, which we've been covering quite a bit, but I don't want to talk too much about that right now. Bollinger Bands are really constricting. We can see that the top side band has been crossed with that 55. Definitely, these aren't looking like good signs. But when you see those crosses of that 55 getting above that topside band, that has typically led to some decent moves. Anyways, low volatility, not much to follow up on. So let me take everything away. Whoop, what the hell? I'm going to code my way out of this one. So for me, I would just be looking at this horizontally and structurally, basically 19,000, and then below 19,000, anywhere down to like 18, and then you have that wick at 17.7, but like 18.3, 18.4 would probably be your level, and then any daily closes above 20,400, you have a little bit of a move up to 21,500. So that's about a $1,000, like an $800, $900 move to the upside, and I would suspect lower highs, unless we start getting some market action in the overall markets. If the overall stock market wants to recover, then we could see Bitcoin get back to that 25, even that 26 level. But until then, crypto is going to continue to follow the traditional market. Let's look at Ethereum. Ethereum on the weekly. So I had a little bit of this trend line that I drew for you all last week. And so far, we are seeing a continuation of higher lows, so that's a good thing, but still very stagnant, very boring, very sideways. And remember, guys, when Bitcoin and ETH are sideways, that's the environment for XRP to pump. We all know this. But the XRP community, please, they get like a 4% move in this coin, and they start fucking freaking out like it's the craziest thing they've ever seen. Why? Like, why, dude? This is so obvious how this market works. Bitcoin and ETH stagnant, it gives energy to XRP. It's just how it works. Bitcoin's the sun. ETH is ether. XRP is Jupiter. You're welcome. So don't get too excited. This coin does this shit all the time. Like, we see this. It's the most pumpy, dumpy top project. And it has the worst chart. This is insanity. So I own a lot of XRP. It's a big position of mine, but like still, like, calm down. Calm down. This coin can do a 90% move in a single day and then drop down 80% in the next day. Look at this day. I'll give an example. Just have fun with this. Look at this rally. 200% rally in what? Three and a half trading days. Look at this wick. From wick to wick, it lost 52% in the exact same trading day. Came down a full 55%. Like, that's the type of shit you're dealing with this coin. You know, it does this because it's retail driven right now. That happened because of retail. That happened during the Wall Street Bets fiasco, and a bunch of dumbasses on Reddit got caught in a squeeze. And then they rallied it up pretty much back into a bull trap, sent it back, kept it boring, and then the real rally started. But where was everyone here? You know, and that's really the thing. Where is everyone when this coin is boring? It's like they don't want to cover it till it's exciting. And that's why the message behind my work is boring and bloody markets are what wolves are excited about. But when the excitement comes, it's like we don't need to have parades over 5% moves to the upside. We're in crypto, man. This shit happens all the time. Like this candle right here, 10%. This candle is 18%. This candle, 12%. This candle, 5%. This candle, 8%. Downside, minus 12%, minus 15%. It's crypto. It's crypto. This is what it does. So again, I'm not to like piss on anyone's parade about XRP, but like just really it's the emotional reactive quality to this coin that's been keeping people enslaved by this coin. When you pay attention to my work, you know it's about relinquishing people from these cults of the altcoins. Like, get recentered back into yourself and start making better investment decisions by not getting caught up in these swings of the market. Be prepared ahead of time. That rant needed to happen because it's an unfortunate thing to see, even in our community, people getting exuberant about this coin making these types of moves when it really hasn't done anything. Like, this coin just woke up and kind of like rubbed the crust out of its eyes. It's not let's talk about XRP when it's $2. You know, like that's when we could talk exciting conversation about it. But where it's at now, it's all about being technical. It's all about looking at it based on the Gematria, the numerology. Build your positions, develop your investment thesis, keep it calm, and be motivated to respond to the market when any moves come. So if you're somebody who's been building positions in this coin down here and you're in leverage trades and you've made it up here, awesome. Have an exit strategy on the upside. Take care of yourself. Don't get greedy. But looking back at the XRP, at the Ethereum play, we have a sideways market right now, just chopping around probably the last 2 weeks or so, moving into one straight month of actually chopping within this territory of 13 and 12. We had this yellow line, and it was based on these W's that we actually did see the continuation of in a full-blown breakout. And now we're just basing on that. And then I had this trend line that I do see there's a potential to return to, perhaps in the next couple days, you know? So this range right here is very tight, but any relief to the upside, I would still be looking at this yellow line. Probably that would be your best bet. And that would bring you into a fractal of support all around this region. So not to draw too many trend lines, but it would be something like this. You see that's where it like was holding all these candles. Then you had a dump, fake out. Then you come back to this red line. Then you had a dump, fake out, bull trap. Then you came down to it. And once you broke this level, you finally made another leg lower. So that basically tells me that 1500 is a very key level for this coin. You might want to keep that in mind. So I'll actually go ahead and I'll move this to 1500 for now. And I'll lower the other line because it's less likely. The more and more we're taking our time to get to these higher levels, it's just it's it's kind of reducing the chances of those higher levels is all I'm trying to say. So any daily closures above this 1360, probably 1400 level would lead to some wick action into 14. But until ETH could actually break 1400, that's going to be range. So getting a daily close above 1400 would be indicative of a move up to this trend line, most likely somewhere around 15. Still a very, very narrow range for an altcoin. Any breaks below this trend line right here and this trend line, I would probably anticipate it to move back into the 1100 range. And then of course, if Bitcoin wants to continue lower, we're going to see this, meaning if Bitcoin goes below 17,000, that would be what brings ETH back below 1,000 and down to 800. Okay, what some people have been waiting for. So we have XRP on the daily chart. Let's look at the recent price action. So we have a W right here, which is definitely looking like it's on a continuation of a bullish breakout. I'm going to show you the neckline was right here. So the neckline of this W, we have the first V being lower, the second V being a higher low. So that looked kind of weird. Anyways, that's a textbook W. We came back to it. We did technically wick down below to show continuation on this neckline, but this is really the big deal. It's this green candle right here that happened yesterday that closed higher than these highs. So that would signal that this is on its continuation phase. Now, how do we measure this? I would measure this pretty dramatically from this wick down to the low wick. I'd pull this up to the actual neckline itself, and this will give me an upside target of about 58 cents. And that's really important because I've told you guys this already. XRP equals 58 in English ordinal, and I've been saying that if we do have continuation to a new high from this breakout that we're in right now for XRP, it would be about 58 cents to like 61 cents. So the reasoning behind the 61 is it's just this horizontal level that has been a prior support. I'm going to put it right there. So you can see we pretty much don't like to spend too much time below this red line. But then once we started to really break below it in May, we just went another leg to the downside. So gravitating back up to that level of around 61 cents would not be weird. 61, 62, give or take a penny. But now if we do this, we're breaking out really a little bit more dramatically extended past this white trend line. So let me see if I could get another kind of trend line deal going. Oh, no, not even that. So you see that's a tip, that's a tip. Then we have this one right here. Sorry, we have this one, and now we're just rejecting on this. So maybe you guys could draw that on your charts. I don't want to make my charts too messy, but I do have that 58 cent, 61 cent target to the upside in mind personally if we're going to get any more continuation up for XRP. Now, what would be great is to see us make it up to the 58, 61 cent and then actually correct down to this white trend line, maybe on the 236 right there and this white trend line simultaneously. So you see the 236 is right there, which is a very textbook support level to come back to after you break out above it. Then back testing this trend line plus a bounce above that level right there, then that would be insane because that would be probably your selling climax for XRP. And then what this would look like on a huge Wyckoff schematic is something like this. This would be your buying climax. This would be your selling climax. This would be your automatic rally. And this would be the start into an SOS phase, which, as you might know, an SOS leads you to a new high above the automatic rally. That would be the first time XRP gets above $2. First time since the all-time high. So that's going to take time, though. I anticipate that's going to take lots of time, actually. But starting to see the recovery is a great first step. So in the meantime, if we're going to see XRP close daily below 44 cents, then I think we're probably going to come down to 32. But as long as we could hold that level and continue on this W breakout, this is a bullish pattern with a bullish daily close yesterday. Right there. So we should probably at least be going back to this wick or 58 cents. But remember, in this market environment, tomorrow's the full moon, we could have the market open on Monday and they could come out with some nonsense and it could roll over these prices and we could have volatility. So just be open-minded as traders, especially if you're analyzing this market and thinking that it looks like a bullish pattern, so it has to continue. But no, just be conservative right now in this environment of trading. Just be conservative. That's my words of wisdom. Okay, let's going to move on to some altcoins. We have Phantom. Okay. All right, so this was a fib pull that I did a long time ago, clearly. From your swing high right there to the swing low, and this thing perfectly hit the 4236. So this is canceled and it made a big M pattern, which led to the breakdown. And now we're pretty much back in this range. So let me turn this on fib with log scale. And are we holding the 236? No. Okay, so now that we're kind of having issues with the 236, you can see it's been all of the, wow. You see we flipped below it in all of these rejections. So that you see how that was the first thing I looked out for. And that's a sign. So this is most likely going to have a double bottom, returning back to 15 cents. And then if it cannot hold 15 cents, it's going to get bloody. It's going to get real bad. Just want to see how much of a correction. Oh, yeah. Oof. Well, this is what happens, man. When coins have these moves, 120,000%. Fuck. They lose 95%, 98% on the return. So, yeah, this is going to take a while to recover because this move was too much. And yeah, this is probably going to double bottom, get back to around 15 cents. That wouldn't be weird because of the number 15, and we're in the year of the tiger still. It's kind of funny how it's trading at 22 cents, and it's like really tight bandwidth. Ever since Rosh Hashanah, it's been bouncing around 22 cents the whole time. Do you guys find that interesting? How it's the end of that 22 year in the Hebrew year, and we've moved into the 23 year? And this is just trapped between 21 cents and 23, which are like the encroaching numbers of 22, and they've been the most important numbers this whole year. So, yeah, there's not much to say on this because it's lost so much of its value, and it's getting to a technical level of the 236, and it's having all these daily closes below it. It's struggling at those levels, and I do anticipate it would be more likely to break this wick here at 19 cents and continue down for a double bottom. Somewhere into 15. Relief at this time would probably be at best 31 cents if Bitcoin's going to have a little bit of recovery, but the retail left this coin. If it lost 93% of its players, then retail's gone. So now we're moving on to Casper, which is a coin that I did a while ago. I told everyone I can't really do TA that effectively on this chart because there's not so much data. This is really at best what I'm working with. A little over a year, and it helps, but it has been on a perpetual downtrend since its launch. So that's what makes it a little bit more difficult. Regardless of the fact that it has over a year of chart data, it's just like there's not really anything to analyze. So I'll do my best on this one, guys, but honestly, this is not looking great. I mean, even if I went conservative, I'll go from here. This is me being like, I'm being nice. So not even giving it the full move to the down. Like, I'm leaving out all of this. That's still 94% down on that move. And if we were to go from like around where it started its launch to where it is today, it's 95% down. Is this something we really want to be like putting our chip, because if it had been through the 2017, 2018, even 2020 market, if this coin, see, this is why I feel different about something like VeChain or Theta comparatively to this, because I'll bring it back to ETH. ETH lost 95% of its value in the prior bull run, but it had the vision, it had the product, it had all of this going on in it, and it was, that's actually me giving you the worst example. Look at things like Digibyte that has even more chart history, right? So getting back to the Theta comparison, is Theta actually has been through the C word crash. It made it through that crash and then had this amazing run. But this doesn't have that experience. This is in like uncharted waters. So like I worry about people getting too caught up in these sorts of projects, because these are the prime projects that do kind of just get washed away by retail having weak hands and there being no real big money, no smart money in these projects. So I hope those words of wisdom help people out. But anywho, I mean, there's really not a whole lot to analyze here. This is just yeah, I mean, look at that. So we perfectly came down to the 1618, which is a technical target that I always show you guys when I'm doing this analysis on the downside. Okay, so anyways, if we're going to have any recovery, I mean, at best, maybe this 5 cent, and then that would be probably rejected, and this would keel over, probably re-enter this horizontal trading range, perhaps even go down to the 1618. Again, so coming back to 2 cents, and if it wants to break lower than 2 cents, that would not even surprise me. I mean, this thing could go to fractions of a penny, just like Luna did. It all just depends on what's going to happen between now and Q4, the end of Q4. So yeah, I wouldn't be paying too much attention to this personally, but if anyone is in it, this is kind of like a W vibe, and I do imagine that, if it's going to be bullish, it's probably going to break out to 5 cents, maybe 6 cents at best, but I would not be banking too hard on that. So going to move on to Bitcoin Cash. It's got a ton of votes. I'm not entirely sure why. This is a really disappointing coin. Again, this is the 2017 market. This is the 2021 market. It never entered price discovery. It never made a new all-time high. And it lost 98% of its value on the correction into the selling climax. So this is the automatic rally phase, and now we're approaching what could become a spring. Okay, so if you guys are aware of spring and Wyckoff, it breaks support and goes, oh my God, is this really the best chart we have available? Because that means this thing is trading below its launch price. Yuck. Okay, I can't waste too much time on this. This is not good. This is like, yeah. So this has a similar vibe almost to XRP in the fact that it had that all-time high, then a lower high in the 2021 market, but XRP isn't down at like 17 cents. Whilst this is pretty much, if XRP was down at 17 cents, that would be the same comparison to where this is now. Like, this is the C word crash, guys, and this coin is trading lower than that. So here's what I'm going to say. People who think and have these theories about Satoshi Vision and Bitcoin Cash and all of Bitcoin Gold and these things taking over Bitcoin, but they never have proven to do such. And now you also have proof of how horrible that sort of mentality is for new investors. And I'll just say my piece on this. You could have bought Bitcoin, because this thing is like similar to when Bitcoin was at $3,300. Bitcoin's at $20,000 today, which this was when Bitcoin was $20,000 in 2017. This is horrible. This is the perfect example of a bad investment. So I'm not sure why anyone is interested in this. I'm not here to call it a scam or to prove that Bitcoin is the real big. I don't care. Charts tell me stories. And if this was the C word crash and now we're even trading below those levels, that's sad. Because that would be like if Bitcoin right now was at $2,000. That would be the similarity of where this is trading today. So anyways, from the Wyckoff perspective, this is a return back to your supply, your second, sorry, this chart's so bad, it's like fucking making my mind not work. Excuse me. This is your return down to the selling climax lows. And if this decides to break lower than $73, you'll have what is called a spring, and it'll look like this. And you have a test, and then your test leads you on to, this is the finality of an accumulation phase. Okay. But that would bring this coin probably into the, with a spring, it doesn't have to be too dramatic. It only could be like $50. It could be like 55, maybe $60. It doesn't have to go that low. But I would stop giving this coin any attention. It's clear as day that this is not, and I told people why on several occasions. Retail doesn't find this sexy. So if the institutional players aren't giving this any energy, and we know the institutional players care about Bitcoin because they have CME futures, they have all of these. I mean, it's amazing when you start hearing about the companies out there that have just started to put slight amounts of Bitcoin in reserves. But anyways, what matters most is I know that big players are not giving this coin any attention. That means all you can rely on is retail. Think about that. You don't want to rely on retail unless we're in a bullish market. So this is what makes things like this kind of like a scary coin to be in. Anyways, quick thoughts on Stellar Lumens, because I covered this quite a bit, but it did get a lot of votes this week. Let's just look at this. Okay, look at this stark difference. This is the C-word crash, and look at where Stellar Lumens is trading. Here is where Bitcoin Cash is trading. Like at these lows, it would be like trading down here. That's horrible. That'd be a 1 cent Stellar Lumens. It would have to lose from where it's at right now an additional 80% or more. Okay? So just please. It's like not good. So XLM, if it's going to make a leg lower, I'm still sticking to this 236 area. So the 236 right there, it's a very critical area. I do anticipate if we're going to have another move to the downside, that would be where it goes. And have you noticed lately how even though XRP has been quite bullish in its recovery, at least noticeably, it's not giving that same effect to XLM, but it is a little bit, but not as much. So it's another reason why I've decided to put, as my investment thesis develops and grows stronger, I'm giving my attention to XRP. I probably will never invest in Stellar Lumens. I just don't really see the purpose of it, because it's like the Warren Buffett mindset of why bet on, like when you know the category winners, like why even give any attention to the potential winners? Like why bet on second place? I get the idea of ROI, but XLM follows XRP so similarly, so it's like in the same category of coins. Why not just pick the category winner, That's kind of my opinion on XRP. Now, could Stellar Lumens outperform other things in my portfolio? Of course. Stellar Lumens could outperform Ethereum on the next cycle. Who knows? I'm not here to make that debate. But if I have XRP, I won't really be worried too much about how XLM is doing. So it's kind of my outlook on that. And I know some people who are like diehard ISO fans are going to be like, but Jordan, it has this thing and that thing. And I'm like, dude, I don't care. I have my own investment thesis. And for me, I'm sticking to category winners. I'd rather have 3 winners than 1 winner and 10 potential, failures. That's when you start to become more successful in life. And I'm not talking about successful in money or business. I'm talking about successful in mindset. You start to be much more conservative, but that conservative approach of getting 1% more dialed in every day is what leads you to mastery. And that's where the true success is. So anyways, I don't have anything bad to say about XLM. I believe it's going to last for a while because of the ISO 222 conversation. I just rather bet on XRP personally. It's just my vibe. So if this thing rolls over more, it's probably going to be headed down to the 6 cent, 7 cent territory. And if this wants to continue its W breakout, I do think there's a potential for it to stop right about 15 cents. So that'd be a nice bullish move, a last move before a potential move to the downside. And that kind of sticks in the same idea of Bitcoin having a move to the downside as well. And let me look at Bitcoin dominance, because it should be failing at this time or coming close to. Okay, so we're still kind of. Yeah. Yeah, we just have chopped in this. Now, I'm not even going to cover this because it's unimportant at this time, but you guys all know that if this was to make another slide down below 38, that would be a pretty wild time for the crypto market. So XLM, not a whole lot to say. Those are just quick thoughts because I've covered this coin quite often, and I do plan to make an ISO 222 special Red Pill podcast part 2 at the end of this year, probably in December. So hold out for that. Oh, and also, I would love for some of you guys to update me on ISO 222. I keep hearing mixed opinions, and I heard November's like official. Like, what have you guys? Because I don't have the time to get into that kind of stuff. From what I know, according to the official releases and website, it's in November, which is right around the corner. So that could be we have the shakeout in the eclipse, but then the market recovers and we see those ISO coins kind of get their time to shine. Quick thoughts on Atom, because we had this insane rally. This is like your typical dead cat bounce play. So you had a huge pullback of 87%. Then you had this relief rally of about 200%. If you guys noticed, whenever I'm showing you these relief rallies off of the selling climax, it's about 200%. But now if this starts to break below these $11 levels, I do suspect the 236 is the next line to consider. And then after the 236, obviously you have double bottom territory, but this rally was nice. And I hope if anyone got the opportunity to buy this 8-day, 9-day dip, that you've perhaps considered de-risking. If you've been somebody who's trapped in these higher areas, it is what it is. There's a lot of people who've built positions in the crypto market at the height of the 2021 market. Don't feel discouraged. We have so much to change in this market, and coins like Atom, Cosmos, I don't think are going anywhere. When we see the shitcoin washout, I believe it's going to perpetuate a continuation and recovery for these top projects such as Stellar Lumens, HBAR, Algorand, Cosmos, etc. But this was an awesome rally to have. And it's nice to see this developing some more chart data because we don't have a lot to look at with this. Going back to 2019, it's multiple years by now, but getting a full 4 years of chart data really is helpful as an analyst, especially in the crypto market. So if this is going to make one more strike to the upside, the obvious target would be the bottom of the golden pocket, the 618. Okay, so somewhere around $20. Now, that would probably take a 3-day close above $16.50. And if we were to have a 3-day close below this $12 area, I do suspect we're probably going to have a move down to the 236. So that is all the analysis. We covered 5 coins today. Again, this was the Red Pill podcast. There might have been some things that ruffled some feathers and some tough pills to swallow, but that is the purpose of this. It's to get our emotions out of this game and to become better investors. It's to have a much clearer sight and vision of what's happening, because that's ultimately what's going to separate the winners and the successful people from the ones who get discouraged and have fear and never take action in markets, or the ones who take action in markets at the worst times. So continue to build out that investment thesis. As I told you guys in the past, whenever it is time for me to buy next and to start accumulating projects, I will be sharing that on our Discord. So when that time comes, you will be updated. But for now, I'm keeping it cool. I'm continuing to just analyze how I'm going to rebuild my positions. And I'm really just being patient. Patience is so important at this stage of the market specifically. Back in the last Shemitah and the one before it and the one before that, I could almost guarantee the reason people got trapped in tops was because of their lack of patience and lack of a desire to develop their own investment thesis. And then what made them buy in early or buy in at bad times was because of their lack of patience and lack of desire to develop the investment. So it works in both ways, So again, I'm wishing you all a beautiful rest of your weekend. I hope you're all having an incredible day and you took away some value from today's podcast. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, as well as make sure to vote on a coin for next week. I'll be picking 4 different coins, whatever ones get the most votes. And if you needed access to our Discord server, remember to send me a message here on Patreon with your last 4 digits after the Discord username included. and I will be able to get you onboarded. And there is discounts to all of my courses, the best discounts available, in the description of this video and the comments. Wishing you all a beautiful rest of your day. Much love.